Hi, I'm Elmer Vis. Today I will explain how to check your ProfiHub visually. There are LEDs on your ProfiHubs and we can check if there's communication and if the termination is correct and if there are errors on your ProfiHub. But first I will explain what you can find on your ProfiHub. I've got one over here. I see a lot of connectors. I will go over it one by one. Let's start with the power supply. There are two power supplies connected in this case. Those are redundant. If one power supply goes down, the other one will take over. We don't want our ProfiHub to go down because we always want to avoid network problems. So that's why we have decided to put a redundant power supply on our ProfiHubs. I see the relay. The relay can switch to, for example, a light bulb or siren or something else. That can give you an indication if there's something going on your ProfiHub or not. See a alarm reset. That's a very small button. You can press it with a small screwdriver if there are errors on your ProfiHub, so that you know when you fixed it and you can reset the error. I see a rotary switch to change the mode of the ProfiHub, and I see multiple connectors to connect your Profibus cable. I see the Phoenix connectors and the DB9 connectors. There's slightly a different reason for having these, and I will explain them. And I've got a termination switch to terminate per segment. So let's start with the Phoenix connectors. If you use this, then I would always recommend, if you have one cable going in per segment on your ProfiHub, always use the Phoenix connectors, because then you can always use the DB9 connector to connect your tools, your ProfiTrace or something else. Always use the green connectors, the Phoenix connectors, for one cable, and if you have two cables going in per segment, I would always recommend to use the DB9 connector, because it's just easier to connect. You have way more space, and there's only one possibility to use with the Phoenix connectors. So then always use the DB9 connectors, and I would always recommend to use the PG connectors. The termination switch, very important for the ProfiHub, because we need to terminate our Profibus cable on the right place. It's very easy. If there's one cable going in per segment, there need to be a termination switch switched on. That is the end of my Profibus segment, so we need to use the termination switch. In this case, I've got two cables going into my segment, and these two cables is not the last part of my Profibus segment, so the termination switch should be switched off. So now let's check the LEDs. If I look at this channel where my DB9 connector is connected, I don't see any LEDs going on, so there's no communication going on. There's also no termination, internal termination LED switched on, so the termination switched off. But the other ones are switched on, except the main channel, because there are two cables going into my main channel. And in this case, if I want to switch off the termination, I can see directly on the ProfiHub that my termination is switched off. And there's one extra LED, that's the error LED. If that starts blinking red or if that starts burning red, then there is something going on that specific channel. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, just send me an email to support@procentec.com, and see you next time.